All right. So, Michael, thank you for being willing to come on and let us interview you. I'm excited to get to know you a little bit. So, tell us a little bit about you to start with, since you're new to me.
Yeah, no. I've been a voice actor now for, I'd say 6 years, maybe 5.5 years, and full time for the last 3 years. And in the last 2.5 years, I've kind of ventured into the demo production. Maybe I should rewind a little bit. You want a long-winded answer or a short-winded?
Give us the Cliff's Notes.
Sure. Yeah. I graduated from university with a degree in media communications. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Went back to become a teacher. Did that. Found myself missing that little creative void that a lot of us voice actors really need to fulfill. I started volunteering at a radio station, and that's where I kind of got to be a fly on the wall and really see how the production side of things worked. I got to work with and learn from a great mentor there who was, the head of production at the station, producing the imaging, the commercials, all that stuff. I got a kind of window into the commercial process itself, script writing, talent voicing it, whether it was our in-house host voicing it or we were, outsourcing it. And then, of course, the production side of things. So that was kind of my intro into voiceover itself. Shortly after my time there, I became a voiceover talent myself. I started freelancing, started direct marketing, started doing a little bit of pay to play as well, not too much, but yeah. And I've happy to say I've grown it to a point now where I, can do this full time. And yeah, within the last couple of years, I guess more pertinent to our discussion today, I've kind of, with my production background and my specialty in imaging and commercial work, it only really made sense for me to venture into demo production because, towards the tail end of my time at the station, I was writing, directing, and producing the spots. And, these are commercials that were going on the air daily. So
Yeah.
I had a sense of how, the composition of the spots, what, the popularity of, different styles and, how they kind of sounded, what music and sound effects to source to, make them really pop. And anyways, here we are today. I'm been probably produced over 100 demos now, which
That's awesome.
yeah, but
And nominated for some awards, I hear.
yeah, I was shockingly, and I'm not. I don't really know how the awards kind of process worked, but a client of mine, I guess, was nominated for best radio imaging demo, and I think that really helped. Yeah, I was kind of right up there with. Well, the other nominees were Chuck Duran and Eric Romanowski. I'm not sure how
Wow.
if kind of the demo producers out there, but so it was cool to see my name up there beside them, and um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was
So tell
exciting.
us what genres do you produce?
Yeah, great question. So I specialize definitely in commercial and radio imaging. That's kind of my the world I came from. Having said that, I have you know, being a voice talent, I've expanded also into the, narration demos as well, whether it's explainer, e-learning, corporate. And that just kind of made sense because it's just commercial with less bells and whistles. There's not too big a segue there. But yeah, just as of recently, I've been slowly studying some of the other genres,
Mhm.
and just for me, it's all once I get a sound or a sense of the acoustics behind, let's say, I don't know, a trailer demo or a character demo. Once I got a pretty trained ear at this point. So once I get a sense of kind of the composition from some of the top talent out there, um, I feel relatively comfortable that I can, reproduce that. So I have done some character demos for some clients, and yeah, my niche kind of seems to be the middle class VO who's not looking to pay ridiculous. Well, I shouldn't say ridiculous. I mean, the top demo producers are,
The higher investment price.
yes, let's call it that. But yeah, I think the big selling feature with me is that, you know, I'm not really a name, so I'm not charging, $2,000+ and I'm not outsourcing script writing. I'm not outsourcing the production. I'm not trying to fund any crazy lifestyle. So I'm just charging what I believe is fair rates for fair work. And I
Mhm.
think that has resonated with a lot of the middle class VO talent. And again, I don't want to bash my competition at all, but I think the value for what they're getting, versus what's out there for these premium prices is on par. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but if not, better.
Okay. So do you mind telling us how much you charge for a demo?
Yeah. So the commercial demo I charge $900 for,
Okay.
900. Um, narration demo 850, and imaging demo I think I'm charging, maybe it's 9 or 875. They're all around the 900
Okay.
price range. Um, due to popular demand, I'm thinking about raising it a little bit, but my goal is never to kind of. I don't want to feel like I'm really gouging,
Right.
the middle class VO for a demo.
Yeah, and you have to gauge how much your time is worth putting into it and taking away from VO work, right?
Right. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's
So let
true.
me rewind a little bit and ask kind of our first question we typically ask, and is what do you feel like is the role of a demo in 2024? Is it exclusively for direct marketing? Is it exclusively to get an agent? Is it a blend? Like, what do you feel like is the role?
Yeah, I think I'd say you nailed it there. It's definitely for direct marketing. You know, when you're marketing yourself, you got to have something to show for yourself. And a lot of times, it's not. You don't maybe have a great compilation of paid work just yet. Um, at the same time, I know some agencies are maybe different in terms of what they require from their potential talent, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't see a better way, within a minute or 75 seconds to really showcase your range,
Good point.
especially, yeah, in the attention economy when people, don't have time or don't have the attention span to listen to, your portfolio of 20 different spots that are all 30 seconds long. Um, I think that the demo still holds value in just packing the most punch with the least amount of time, showcasing that range, showcasing what you could sound like, um, at the national level too, where you're not producing the spot
Hmm.
and you're like myself, is putting together the spot. So that's really what I try to do with my demos is just put out 5 to 6 spots within 75 seconds that sound like they're on the air right now. One more thing, I'm rambling a bit here, but
You're
I
answering
think,
a lot of my questions in
oh,
advance, so it's great. Just ramble.
okay, but one of the things I do, and I think a lot of demo producers are maybe starting to do this as well. Maybe they're not because they're not, the actual engineer, but I'd like to offer my clients audio presets as well, so that if they, for whatever reason, if they book a job, it's not an issue of, oh, he or she doesn't, or whoever doesn't sound like how they do on the demo. I
That
want
actually I think is unique. I haven't heard that from anybody
to, yeah,
else, but it's a good point. Most people say, "Oh, we evaluate the studio to make sure it's up to
right,
industry standards," but to say I'm sending them the presets for what I do so that they can reproduce it, that's now do you
right.
charge a separate fee for that or is that included in your price?
I do, yeah,
Smart. That's
yeah,
sounds like more work.
yeah. It's a little bit of an add-on, but yeah, just to that point, like I don't want anybody to feel like, oh my gosh, my demo's blasting out of the speakers. It sounds great, and my raw sound or my process sound, doesn't quite sound the same. And at the same time, I think when you're auditioning, you don't, you want to send in a relatively raw sample, but should the talent ever have to recreate a really punchy, uh, processed commercial sound, they have the option to do so.
Nice, I like that. It's I like thinking of it as an option, right? Because
Right.
again, we do wanna send as clean, straight audio as we can, um,
Yes.
most of the time.
Yep.
But we are I mean, things are shifting more and more towards I'm finding more clients come to me and go, "Can you just do it all?
Right.
I'd really don't have an in-house production company. We don't process it on our own." So that is nice to have that option.
I
So
think, sorry, to your point there really quickly, I think that's what helped me break in and become a full-time voice talent was my, you know,
well-rounded.
yeah, just especially in radio imaging, which is kind of the bulk of my work. Voicing and producing, it's like a one-stop shop as opposed to, you know, me voicing it and then it goes to whoever to produce it. It's just, I think it's convenient. I'm not saying everybody needs to become an engineer and, it's your ears will be bleeding by the end of the day pretty well every day. But it definitely hasn't hurt me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you I love it. So tell me, when do you feel like and I know you're newer, I feel like we're right about the same time in the industry. I started in 2018, kind of
Okay.
and just at the end of 2018 really getting started, and so, and I went full-time about 3.5-ish
Nice.
years ago as well. So it's 2020 was when I went full-time, like,
Oh,
and I had the flexibility, I was home. But when do you think mock work became the standard, or do you feel like it's always been the standard as far as you've seen,
mm,
versus using actual work that you've done?
yeah. Good question. Obviously I'm not a veteran, so I don't know kind of the history of the demo, let's call it. But as far as I know, it's always been mock work. Um, as to why, I don't I don't particularly know, possibly because of the reasons I alluded to earlier, packing that kind of short punch and showcasing that range within the shortest amount of time. And I think the other thing to consider too is that, if you're on again, every agency, every production house is probably a little bit different, but if you're on a roster, oftentimes, the client might be booking or the agent might be just, sending the client a bunch of demos,
Yeah,
you know, and it's not practical to send, you know, different MP3s or YouTube links to, this
your
commercial.
website, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good question. I by the way, I don't see anything wrong with putting together a compilation of produced spots. Um,
If you
especially
have them.
if you have them, that's the other thing too, right? If you're a newer to mid-level voice talent, maybe you've booked, maybe your niche is conversational and you're booking a lot of that stuff, but on your demo, I always want to make sure my number one priority is showcasing range,
Mhm.
showcase everything you do best, first, and then anything you could potentially book as well. And maybe you're not booking a lot of announcer reads, but maybe you can pull it off. Maybe a client didn't even know you could pull it off until they heard it on your demo.
Show them what you're capable of, not necessarily what you've already done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Love
And
that.
everybody has their niche, right? Everybody kind of, books, what they book. But that's not to say that you shouldn't throw your name in the hat for, you know,
Anything.
yeah, exactly.
So, to that point, talking about niching down, do you feel like it's important for demo producers to niche down to what they really, really
Mm.
shine in their talents?
You were meaning genre wise.
Mhm. Or
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe there's more what else would there be? That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like regarding genre, I don't, if somebody asks me for a TV promo demo or a trailer demo, and they do ask, I typically, I say, hey, I don't come from that world. I probably could do it, but I think if you really want to play in that genre, you're better off seeking out, whoever else. Um,
So you know
yeah,
your strengths and you play to those with what you
yeah,
do.
yeah. Like I typically try to, stick to commercial imaging narration and that whole kind of narration umbrella.
Hmm.
Um, I have done some character stuff and I really do love doing that. That's a niche I feel comfortable doing as well. Um, but yeah, I'm not really sure how else to answer it aside from the genre.
That's good. That's what I was getting at. I guess I should have said specifically, but maybe also it sounds like your niche is focusing on the kind of middle of the road talent. Like we're in our careers, we're working, but maybe
Right.
we're not ready to. I know I say we. Maybe it's like, oh, I don't really want to spend $3,000 on a demo right now. I already have a commercial demo I like. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
broaden my range. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. But to that point, I like that seems to be my bread and butter. And you know what, Alicia, at the end of the day, and I am saying it correctly, right? You're
yeah,
Alicia.
that's it.
Um,
Sorry, I didn't put my name up on
no,
that. I usually
no, that's okay. That's okay.
should
VO
change
Booth.
that.
But at the end of the day, if you're doing good work, like word of mouth is going to take off, especially, when the value's there. So, um,
It's true. I talked to a production company yesterday that makes demos and or Saturday, and they don't even advertise at
yeah,
all. And they don't
yeah,
need to. They
yeah,
stay busy. So it sounds like your work speaks for itself. So let's get into some of the nitty-gritty a little bit.
sure.
Also, are you also a coach? Do you coach as part of your process?
Okay, so I do direct the demos. I'll outline my process very quickly because
Yeah,
there
go
is
through your process.
something involved in it. I don't consider myself a coach. Do I feel like I do have something to offer in the coaching department? Yes. Do I have the experience to market myself as a voiceover coach? No. But in my demo process, there is an element of coaching, and this is what it is. Typically, we start with a consultation. We come up with different brands we want in different styles we want to showcase in the demo. Once that's done, custom script writing, and then once the scripts are written and the talent is happy with them, I like to schedule a 90-minute uh, coaching session. But it's really just a practice session in terms of it's a feeling out process for me and the talent to just vocalize the spots, kind of see where we want to go with each spot, more or less down to the last nuance, so that come demo day where we're recording the audio, there's no curveballs,
Right.
right? They know where to go with the spot. They're comfortable. There's, again, not really any nerves because at this point, it's just a matter of laying down the audio. So during that 90-minute, I'm going to call it a coaching session because I do direct the talent.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, from my time, well, I live in the commercial world daily. I have a good sense of how these spots should sound, right? And having said that, I'm sure this. There's not really one way to do voiceover. There's multiple ways. So as long as the spot lands, I'm happy with it. But yeah, I mean, come demo day, it's just a matter of laying down a bunch of takes. We know where we want to go with it, or we know kind of the boundaries where we want to play. And then within that, I always leave, a little bit of room for the talent to kind of let their personality shine. And, however they want to land it is up to them. But as long as we're in this kind of range, so to speak.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds like your coaching is specifically directed towards the demo. You're not like you're not a coach and then you make a demo after you've coached someone 15 times. Like,
Right.
got it.
Do
So
the
how do
coach.
you
Oh,
sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
Um, I'm sure a lot of the demo producers you've talked to have, maybe touched on this, but I think there is such a thing as being ready for a demo and possibly needing to be coached up a little bit, especially if you're new.
Hmm.
If you're new, as far as I'm concerned, you shouldn't be worried about a demo for at least, I don't know. I mean, everyone's on a different timeline, but I don't know, a year.
Yeah.
You need to be comfortable with recording, you need to have your booth figured out. You need to have auditioned and got turned down a bunch and sought some coaching and, got some short lists on your auditions, and just kind of, you know, takes a year to be comfortable with the microphone in front of you, really. Like,
So,
so
so do you feel like there's a specific set of criteria that you use to evaluate whether, so a talent comes to you, first of all, do you have like a free consult if somebody wants to spend 15 minutes talking to you about
yeah,
making a demo? Yeah.
yeah,
So
absolutely,
what
yeah.
criteria do you use to decide, are they ready?
Yeah, so I typically, the first thing I do is ask for a sample from their booth. Alternatively, I like to get their current commercial demo if they have one. Maybe they don't, but any body of work that they have, whether it be paid work or stuff they've self-produced and are just kind of messing around with. Um, because step one, if the booth isn't you know if the booth isn't sound, then you know there's no point in them putting together a demo and spending the money, and there's no point of me putting my name on uh, the demo.
Right.
So I love to get a raw recording with some noise floor just to get a sense of the acoustics of the booth. um, I typically like to ask, the gearhead inside of me is always curious what gear they're working with. And, that also gives me kind of a sense, not always, but most of the time, as to kind of where the talent's at. Um, once I hear that raw sample, um, the gear they're using, and, their commercial demo or whatever they've messed around with, I can get a pretty good sense of, hey, this is a newer talent. They're not quite ready. Or, this person's got some pretty good chops. They've been doing it for a while. Or, maybe they are someone who's well established in the industry, in which case, there's really no vetting that needs to be done.
Awesome. So let's say they come to you and you do this consult and you realize they're not ready. Do you have a list of coaches that you recommend that they go to, or do you just say go find somebody? Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, that's a good question. My go-to recommendation for coaching for somebody is a gentleman named Brad Highland. I'm
Oh, we
sure.
love Brad.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Yeah. Brad, I did a lot of coaching with Brad personally. And I'm kind of from well, I like the idea of experimenting with different coaches.
Hmm.
Like, some people maybe say, hey, you should stick with the same coach for however long, but I like to, do 5, 10 sessions, 6 sessions with so and so, soak up their knowledge, and then move on.
Yeah.
Not to say that anyone's coaching was ever bad or that I couldn't have stuck with them. Just different people, offer different perspectives, and I personally think in VO that's one of the best ways to grow, is to get different opinions and you know learn different tricks from each given coach. But Brad for me was somebody that I just thought really clicked with me. And yeah, I mean, when I started, oh God, I was bad as a voice talent. And he took a monotone kid and turned him into a semi-reasonable storyteller. So a lot of I saw the results, in my short list and in my bookings. So
And the nice thing about somebody like Brad is Brad typically wants to work with people who are working pros, not beginners, but
right.
he'll do a consult with someone and I know he has a list of beginning coaches that he sends them to. So he's a good
Okay.
median point to go,
Yeah.
okay, you're not quite ready for where I'm coaching, but I can send you to these people. So
Yeah.
that's a great reference point is Brad Highland. So,
You know what? To your point there, I really should get a better, and I'll have a chat with Brad after this. You've inspired me to, you know, maybe a new talent again doesn't need to see Brad right away.
right.
Um, but should really get a roster of, you know, let's call them beginner, coaches who work with beginners.
Straight beginners, yeah. Because there's a lot of stuff right at the beginning that you
Oh,
just don't
un-
know. I didn't coach for my first year of voiceover. I didn't coach at all. I didn't even really know it was a thing, and I didn't think I needed it, to be totally fair. Most people are like, I don't like my voice. I loved my voice. I thought I was doing
Yeah.
great. And I was booking consistently, so I thought I was great. And now I'm like, shame on you, people who hired me. I was terrible.
Yeah.
Um, and I
Right.
did my first coaching session, and in that 1 hour, she taught me everything I'd spent a year climbing myself to learn on my own, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's so nice to have somebody just kind of guide you through that beginning stuff that you don't
Absolutely.
know. Like, what's an ABC, and
Yeah.
where do I even book work, and what does EQ mean? You know, like these are all
Right.
just really beginning level stuff. So, all right, to get back to demos, you talked us through your production process, I think, pretty well. So, do you personally custom write all of your scripts, or do you use existing ad copy and kind of tweak it, or kind of a hybrid approach?
Yeah. So everything I do is custom. Yeah. I don't, will I base it off spots that are currently out there? Yes. Typically what I like to do is I like to see how, the company is advertising currently
Hmm.
and, write a spot, not with the same copy, but just with a similar style. Because I don't know if Chrysler is advertising their new, I don't know, car in a very cinematic, futuristic type of way. Maybe it's an electric vehicle. I don't want to write some upbeat, energetic, smiley spot about it. I want to try to reflect how the company is currently advertising.
I love
So,
that. Current
yeah,
brand awareness, I think, is
yeah,
vital.
yeah. I always like to make sure that I do write the spot to reflect how the company is currently advertising. That's not to say that it won't change 5 years from now, but
Right.
how are they advertising currently?
Who's their
And
market audience is a really
right,
good way. Like, that's not typically going to change drastically overnight. We had somebody reference that, like, an Instagram spot on a demo makes no sense because Instagram does no marketing like that. Like, you know. So,
mm-hmm.
all right, let's move on to, let's see. Are you, so you said you're producing all aspects of your demo. You don't use any, do you outsource anything?
No,
Okay.
no script writing, coaching, let's call it, in that coaching session is with me, and obviously full production value. So maybe some people might say it's better to outsource because how could he be a jack of all trades? But really, just from playing in that world, I feel, in my background in media, I feel very confident writing. I think you know um, aside from the production value, which I think I offer great production value, the writing is really where I try to stand out as well. Writing really really good scripts that allow for range and allow for a lot of human nuance that these agents are kind of looking for
Yeah.
in these reads.
So, and I think honestly, you may reach a point, and it's okay, where you say, I just don't have time
Right.
to do all of the aspects, but I want to keep producing demos and have have the final say, or do the
Yeah.
production. And so you may reach a point where you want to outsource, and you may not, and that's okay. Both
Yeah.
options are good.
Yeah.
Um, So, are you open to collaborating with talent? So, for example, a talent comes to you and says, I really wanted to customize my own script. So, I hired an ad copy script writer, and I've done my own coaching, and I just need somebody to put it together for me, or
Yeah.
something like that. Would you work with them?
Absolutely. Yeah. Whatever the talent wants, really, I'm happy to accommodate. And as long as they, if they say, "Hey, Mike, I've written my own scripts," and I take a look at them and I think, okay, these are great scripts. Hey, Mike, I've recorded them myself. I feel, like I didn't need the direction, and I listened to them, and I think they sound great as well. No problem. I'm happy to mix and match and offer, a discount if the client's taken the initiative to outsource the writing or, do it themselves. But I will offer, honest feedback if I don't think the scripts are up to par, or if I think, the, a certain spot should have been gone in a different direction, or, what
Hmm.
have you. I do like the fact that I am kind of the one-stop shop for everything because it makes the process just simple.
Yeah.
Like I'm a middleman that has to relay this email over to somebody in Spain who's on a different time zone, and then they get back to me 12 hours later, and then I send it back to the client, and then they want something like it's just it gets to me, I see it, I make the adjustment, I offer my input, and it's back.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. I love it. So, in the time you've been producing demos, even just a couple of years, have you seen some shifts in the industry around demo production, or has it stayed pretty much the same?
ooh, yeah, I mean, nothing major, and that's probably just, on account of having not have had, you know, 10 years plus experience doing these yet. But I mean, they seem to be getting shorter. I seem to have a lot of clients reaching out and saying, "Hey, Mike, I want to do the demo, and I want it to be 60 seconds."
Right.
And a lot of the times they say that's coming down from, the production house or the agency they've, you know, or what an agent told them is,
Yeah.
it has 60 seconds. Then it's like, okay, well, we need to showcase a lot of range here and in spots, that are 10 to 12, 8 seconds. And it makes it a bit more challenging. And what I like to do, I like to overwrite the spots a little bit,
Hmm.
and I'll kind of cut and yeah, I'll splice away and I'll write knowing that it's going to be and can be shortened and still sound cohesive. And then from there, I'll typically, it's maybe a 15-second spot text wise, but if it needs to be 8 seconds for the demo, I can make that adjustment.
Yeah. You've got room in there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. All right. So, last question, and it's a doozy, but it can be a sum up. Why should a talent choose to work with you specifically?
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think the value is there. I think my production skills, I was just obsessed with the production side of things for so long. And like I've taken the courses, I've, been the fly on the wall, you know, working alongside the experts. I've reached out to pros in our industry and collaborated with them, just fine tuning and experimenting and talking all things production. So I think the production value is 100% there.
Hmm.
Uh, just based on the word of mouth as well. Like I've had my clients reach out to me and say, "Hey, Mike, like I got on so and so's roster. They love the demo you put together. When can we do my narration demo?"
Right.
Um, you know, I uh, I I implore anyone who's curious about my work or interested in maybe doing a demo to reach out to me and ask me maybe for some clients who I've worked with, and they'll vouch,
So, do
that
you
they've
have a website people can go to
I
find
do,
info?
yeah. I do, yeah. Michael Kussman Voices.com. Kussman, my last name has two N's. It's kind of my kryptonite in the VO industry. It's killing me. But yeah, Kussmann, Michael
Okay.
Kussman Voices.com. In there you can see my work and you can see my demo production. Actually, I should update it and put a lot more I've done a lot in the past 2 months actually. So I should put a lot of the 2024 samples up there. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, if anyone's interested, it'd be my pleasure.
That's great. All right. So, thank you so much for your time, and I've it's been really interesting to hear how you've progressed in the industry, and we really appreciate it. So, thank you, Michael, and we'll say goodbye on the
Alicia,
recording.
yeah, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.